Hey guys, Techie here. Sorry this is not the usual Wednesday video. We kind of ran into a few issues, so I thought I'd fall back on a video I recorded a while back and do some commentary on it. So, what we have here is my setup for doing this LED cube. As you can see there's my 3D printed soldering arms that, were a godsend in this project. My little vase cup, soldering iron, and of course the kit itself. And of course you can see here I'm going through my checklist, showing off the packaging. As you can see here, the kit uses these circuit boards. Most of the other LED cubes you see online, they use like floating wire. Like they solder the LEDs onto stiff wires and hope that it stays up straight once the structure's there. This, you solder onto these planks and then you have these studs or struts or whatever to attach them to, and it's rather interesting. As you can see, as you can probably imagine, there was a lot of soldering. In fact, I would probably put up the numbers at this point, because I can't be bothered doing the math. I mean, it's 64, 4 leads, that's nearly 200 solder joints already. Actually, no, that is 200 solder joints. 240 something. 256. God, it's Space 8. Plus, soldering everything to themselves and all that. It's freaking madness. I said, this took me about 4 hours. Oh, no way, I think the final video was 3 hours long. Recording start to finish. Like, that was kind of the annoying thing about doing this sort of project, is having to go start to finish with all this. You can see some of the 3D printed arms have they were kind of failing. I printed this out kind of on a whim just to try it out, and it worked a bit better than I expected, but I want to reprint those arms a bit nicer. Anyway, yep, finally getting on with my first row of LEDs, just slowly going through. As I said, this took a long time to do. And yes, Ben Heck style, I'm keeping all the little solder bleeds. If you guys are curious about the skulls, those were experiments in printing with vase mode. A type of 3D printing technique that basically, it keeps on going like a spiral rather than doing a layer, moving up, doing another layer. I might do a video on that if anyone's really interested, but these skulls I actually use my color change filament on. That's why the skulls are a little blue. It was actually a bit cooler today than the last few days in Australia. So, yeah, it's why they're a little blue, but if I handle the skulls a bit too much, they go clear, which is actually kind of neat. And of course, me using the sections of the helping hands to divide up the things. Seriously, if you guys want more 3D printing content, leave comments. Give me, like, a reason to want a 3D print for this channel. Like, I've worked on a lot of little things for myself, 3D models, miniatures, even made my own upgrades for the 3D printer. Actually made them myself. So, like, this isn't just a, oh, Techie wants to dick around with the 3D printer thing. Techie's actually been using this to do some pretty cool stuff. And, if you want to see it, you have to let us know. So anyway, back to this. Ooh, am I at the end? I think I am. And again, I do apologize for the camera angle. I'm actually using my newer phone. It was quite new when I recorded this, and it had a 4K sensor. So I figured, well, I'll record this video in 4K and see how we go. The file was huge. It took me over, over a day just to be able to process the video into something I could actually use. I said it still was really nice. Like, it meant that I could zoom in a bit and that. It's just, yeah. Also, what you guys might not realize is I had to have several lights pointed at me at the same time, so You know how on those videos they complain about, oh yeah, you know, all the lights and the cameras? Yeah, no, like, there is really no place good to stick a camera, if you're doing this sort of work. I know it sounds daft. It's like, oh, there has to be a place. No, there really isn't. Because it's not just the camera; it's the lights as well. You have to have your lights and all that. So here I have like a big ass work light pointed at me and a lamp with a 100-watt light bulb in it, just to get rid of most of the shadows. I think I also had a light behind the phone or something. I had basically 3 lights. And the sheer amount of heat, but the sheer amount of room they take up. And these were fairly small lights. But then again, I thought I had plenty of room on this desk, but yeah. That's the other thing. Remember when working with solder and all that, do give yourself breaks in that, especially if you don't have much airflow. Now, thankfully my tech area is actually fairly open air. But with the lights and that, I didn't really have room for an exhaust fan, so every so often I just stepped away, took a few deep breaths, and got back to work. I mean, to be fair, I think I'm fairly certain I use lead-free solder. I think my thicker stuff is lead solder, but my thin stuff is lead-free. But either way, you don't want to be inhaling that stuff too long. Now this bit. This is actually the control board, the thing that actually drives all the LEDs and that, and it is really amazing to look at. It apparently uses a Arduino knockoff, an Arduino Leonardo knockoff, which is kind of interesting to me, because it's apparently a microcontroller that can also support human interface device stuff, so could theoretically have like a keyboard or buttons hooked up to this that could work my computer as well. Although what I'm really looking for is some way of communicating, you know, my computer's stuff to my LED cube. I'm sure there's a way. I found through a serial interface you can, but you know, not many programming languages I know of can communicate with the serial stuff, so yeah, it makes it a little difficult. Now you can see here I'm putting in all the struts and that, you know, forming the side walls of the cube. Now it recommends putting in all on one side and then one on the other, and then just trying to line things as straight as you can. It really was hard. And yeah, it comes with rubber bands to help pull things together, but it's one of those. So I do apologize for this part of the video where we start, where the camera starts drifting a bit, but yeah. You can see I had one of the struts bit out, so I had to like heat it up, push it in. So yeah, that is useful. Now this next bit, spoiler alert, something did go wrong with this. If I recall, I actually missed a solder joint. And even looking back at this video, I can't work out where. I just remember hours later wondering why part of the cube wasn't working, and then, you know, just it happened to catch the corner of my eye and I found that one of the solder joints on the bottom wasn't quite right. And you can see I'm going through troubleshooting steps, like I'm just checking all the solder joints. And of course I've started trying to make physical connections. I gave up on that and started using a continuity check just to see if something was being powered through. Then I noticed that oh yeah, my continuity check passes a small amount of current through to check things, so I could actually start, try to map out how the circuit works. Yes, I did have a circuit diagram, but if you've ever tried to read a circuit diagram and look at the actual thing, it was a nightmare. As said, it was like a good hour later, I was like, wait, I see the one solder joint I missed. And, it was so annoying. Just gets annoying. And you can see I've worked out, oh yeah, these are the color legs, that's the common anode, so on and so forth. I started working out how to manipulate each one, so it's like, yeah, I know how all this is meant to work. It just doesn't. And, yeah, the video about ends here. Now, we're gonna cut to me actually showing this cube in all its glory. I do apologize that it's, a bit of a, it would have been nice if it worked first time. But that's how these projects go, and honestly, I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I don't want people to think, oh, Techie is so good, he does tech perfectly every time. No, I don't. So, anyway, enjoy this glam footage of the cube, and I've been Techie, you've been fantastic, and I'll see you next time. And remember, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to be kept up to date about these videos, and yeah. Something, control the web, rule the world, you know her typical spiel.